Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our admins, and the message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My grandmother, she made me to sleep on top of a grave. I never thought that I'll end up here, selling my body here in the streets of Lagos. But life had other plans for me. After my parents had passed away, I was left with nothing and no one to tend to. I had to fend for myself, and this was the only way that I knew how to survive. It is not easy, and it is not something to be proud of, but I have learned to numb myself to the pain and to the shame. I have learned to put on a mask and to pretend that everything is okay, even when I know that things are not okay. But the truth is, every time that I have to do this, a part of me, I feel that there is a part of me that dies inside. I am not sure where to start, and I am an orphan. I never knew my father and my mother. She was taken from me in a car accident when I was just a baby. They say that I was the only survivor. I don't remember that much, but the pain of growing up without her was always with me at all the times. As I grew older, I struggled to understand why this had to happen to me. I felt like I was left with so many questions and no answers at all. I often wondered what my life would be like if she was still here. Despite the struggles, I have tried to make the best of my life, but the heartache of her absence, it still lingers in my heart. I wish that I could have known her a little bit better, to have heard her voice, felt her love. I hope that wherever she is watching over me, and that she is proud of the person that I am becoming. This is my story, a story of loss, longing, and resilience. I hope that by sharing it, I can find some solace and maybe help others who have gone through similar struggles. As an orphan, I thought that I could count on my extended family for support and love, but instead, many of them took advantage of my vulnerability. They would make promises they had no intentions of keeping just to get me to do their bidding. They'd say things like, "Your mother would want you to help us out," or "You are so lucky we are taking care of you." They would make me to do chores and errands for them, and sometimes even take the little money that I had. They would criticize me for everything, making me feel like I was a burden to them. I felt like I was alone even when surrounded by family. My mother's sister, who was supposed to be my guardian, was the worst. She would use the money meant for my education and well-being for her own children's lavish expensive. She would make me feel like I was unworthy of love and care just because I didn't have any parents at all. I felt so lost and alone, like I was just a tool for them to use and to discard. But I refused to let their cruelty define me. I had worked very hard and studied very hard and prayed for a better future. And slowly but surely, I started to break free from their grasp. I realized that I deserved love, care, and respect no matter what. My mother's sister, who was supposed to be my guardian, was entrusted with my mother's pension fund, meant to support me and my education. But instead, she used it for her own personal benefit. She would use the money to buy your luxurious cars, expensive clothes, and fund her own children's lavish lifestyle. Meanwhile, I was struggling to make ends meet. I had to drop out of school because she had refused to pay my school fees. She would say things like, "You are not worth investing it in, or you will never amount to anything anyway." I remember feeling so helpless and angry when I found out what she was doing. I felt like my mother's memory was being betrayed and that I was being robbed of my own future, but I did not have a voice, or so I thought. I started working odd jobs to make ends meet, but it was hard to make a living and focus on my studies at the same time. I felt like I was losing my chance at a better life, but I refused to give up. I kept working hard, and eventually I found a way to escape a grasp and start building a life of my own. It's been a long and a difficult journey, but I am finally in a place where I can speak out against the injustices that was being done to me. I hope that by sharing my story, I will help others who have faced similar experiences and bring attention to the importance of protecting vulnerable children like I was once. I'll never forget the night my grandmother told me to go and sleep on top of a grave. She said that this was nothing but a ritual to connect me with the gods of our lands and with my ancestors and to find my purpose. I was a bit skeptical and I just trusted her wisdom. My grandmother led me to the cemetery and we walked through the rows of headstones until we reached a specific grave. It was that of my great-grandmother's, who had passed away many, many years ago. My grandmother instructed me to lie down on the grave and I hesitated, feeling a mix of fear and curiosity. As I lay there, I felt a strange energy emanating from the earth beneath me. It was as if the spirits of my ancestors were stirring, awakening from their slumber. I closed my eyes and suddenly visions began to flood into my mind. I saw my great-grandmother's life unfold before me, her struggles and her victories, her wisdom. I saw my own path too, and the choices that I needed to make to fulfill my destiny. It was profound and transformative experience, one that changed the course of my life forever. When I woke up, my grandmother was smiling beside me. She knew that I had received the guidance and strength that I needed to move forward. But that was where it all started. So after this ritual had been done, that was when I started to notice that my relationships were crumbling and I had lost my job due to my erratic behavior. I felt like I was losing control, like there was an evil spirit that was slowly taking over my life. I tried to shake over the feeling, but it will only grow stronger. I started seeing shadowy figures lurking in the corners of my room, and I would wake up with strange markings on my body. And whenever I would think about the day that we went to the graveyards to perform these rituals, then I'll just start to feel this terrible headache, and it was like I was trapped in a nightmare. That was when my grandmother told me that she had this other rich man that wanted to make me his own wife. I don't know what really happened, but the next thing that happened was that I was in love with this man, so I moved in with that man. The way that I made that man to treat his own wife, it was really terrible, terrible, Brother Nashi. This man, I would actually control him when he would come into my own bedroom, because I moved into that same house that he had been staying with his wife for plus 15 years or more. And when I moved in, I told him that I wanted the main bedroom. So I then took the main bedroom that once belonged to his first wife. That is where I started sleeping in. And each and every night when I would want him to beat his wife, the things that I will say, they were really bad. And if he will not take any action, when he would try to sleep with me, what I will do is that I would refuse to make love to him, and I would tell him that I do not want to make love to him. And then he would go out of the bedroom so that he can go and beat up his wife. From there on, I ran away with some of the money that he had, and I found myself in Lagos, and I rented my own room with these other girls from my own village, and we started prostituting ourselves. So what happens is that whenever I am with a man, the spirit of my grandmother that I went to take from the grave when I was lying on top of her grave, her spirit, then it will start to work on the mind of that man that would have booked my services, so that he can keep on coming back to me. And I just want to confess that these are the things that I did. Even as I am writing to you, I can actually feel that my eyes are filled with tears. I just want men to be very careful out there, because there are many women that are like me. Yes, I have given this testimony at the church where I started going to. But the funny part about it was that after I had given this testimony, then the pastor called me to his office, and the way that he was looking at me, it was really inappropriate, such that I saw that this man is lusting after me, and I walked out of his office. Then I found another church, the church that I am still going to even up until this day. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our one of our admins. We received this message via an email. Strange things do happen in this world.